Let's take a look at some information and charts on Band for Brave New Coin. So like Link, Band is a decentralized Oracle data aggregation service that basically fuels information exchange on DeFi contracts. Basically the main use, is for honest data in speculation and lending markets. They say they're blockchain agnostic, so they're more multi-chain perhaps than Link, but all the oracles, if there's any more of them that I'm not aware of, should all be multi-chain. There's really no reason not to be. It's kind of built in to what they do. It's just connect all information and data to all other chains, both off-chain, smart contracts, APIs, that sort of thing. Do we need 2 oracles? Do we need 10 oracles? I don't know. I don't think the market knows either. Could I tell you the benefits of Band over Link at a technical level? No. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of articles about that, but I think it's too early to even say a competitor is better than Link or Link's better than a competitor until this stuff has some years of anti-fragility built in. Link's had its problems. I'm sure Band has had its problems. So we'll have to see which one wins out at the end of the day, if anyone does actually win out. Let's look at some ICO stuff for Band. So it looks like they did 3 ICOs effectively, one in 2018 and then 2 raises in 2019. They do burn 50% of the transaction fees, but they have raised a lot of money, and they do have 100 million tokens, and I'm sure the Band people are going to defend the triple raise and defend the tokens owned by the company. That's fine, but as long as you're aware of token supply and who holds what and what they're doing with it, that's all I really care about. Here's what the oracles look like as far as the data sets are concerned. They have Forex, commodities, and mostly crypto, which is where their oracle requests for the most part come from. And we can see the total requests since October. So again, this is fairly new. Total requests since October at 7.6 million. I think maybe a little under half of those have been just crypto stuff. They have on-chain voting, kind of like Tezos, where it gets an up-down vote. You can see turnout for each of these. I really like the way governance has evolved in general. I don't have to like the project to like governance, how it just sort of bakes in, and it's really simple. If you don't like a governance proposal, you vote for it, right? Or you don't vote for it. There's none of this endless bickering about block size and forks and soft forks and hard forks. The problem here is if voting occurs through a validator or something that you don't approve of or agree with, you have to pull your funds from that validator. If those validators are even voting, if we look at the validators, 3 exchanges are in the top 10 as far as percentages are concerned. So here's the total requests for crypto stuff. 4.2 million of the 7.3 million total requests. So they're doing more than just crypto stuff, but it's mostly crypto stuff as far as the oracles are concerned. And on Band Chain, the Cosmos Scan list for validators, it lists these in a different order than Mint Scan. I don't know who to trust. I don't know the data providers well enough. But Mint Scan lists Binance, Coinbase, and Kraken in the top 10 here. There's some miners listed in here. In general, you want decentralization of all things, geographically disinterested parties, right? You don't want some mining cabal. You don't want an exchange cabal. Binance has a history of sort of voting against users' will on a few things regarding staking power that they have. So that's important to keep in mind. Most people trading this stuff have no idea, right? They just trade it, number go up, great. But if you're truly a community member, you're paying attention to stuff like this. You're not staking on exchanges. You're staking either independently or with some trusted provider. And you can see the commissions here. You can see uptime. All that's important as well. Some of these are VCs, multi-chain ventures, polychain. That's always an issue. They tend to have a lot of voting power on this stuff because they're early seed investors. They get a lot of tokens. Nokia Capital, I assume, is a hedge fund or VC or something. And this is a foreshadowing for ETH. You're going to see a lot of staking on exchanges, much like Tezos. You're going to see some issues arise with that. I guarantee you in the future. Nobody's caring about this now. Of course, why would they? It's not happening on ETH. Until it's a problem, people don't care about it. Right? Until mining in China was a problem, people didn't really care about it so much. Then all of a sudden, China says, no more mining, and now it's a big deal, right? That's a clear example of centralization in a big way of mining. Hash rate has fallen, 50%. So staking is a little more fluid in that sense, where you can just move stuff around on chain. You don't have to physically move the miners, obviously, but it's always a continuous issue with proof of stake. Band Protocol, the company, kind of the only useful Google Trend thing I can think of to search for, hasn't really seen too much activity in general, other than late 2020. So, for me, it's just kind of too early. You can dig into the specs of Band more. You can look at the comparisons between oracles more, but I'm more of a practical trader and analyst. And if there isn't like a clear example of why one thing's better than the other, then for me, that just needs more time. So they're doing the right stuff. They're heading in the right direction based on fundamentals. It just needs like 5 more years of activity for me to really dig deeply into that. If you look at technicals, which is where my wheelhouse generally is, we had a bearish 5200 cross in May. We have an evolving bullish divergence that has started to bounce along with everything in DeFi. This has retraced beyond its January open. Band had this really nice technical breakout, inverted head and shoulders, another consolidation, broke up, but never had these like 10x extensions that a lot of DeFi coins had. I don't know if that's because of coins in circulation or people just not aware of Band or not on board the Band train. But this was also setting up for this cup and handle that never went anywhere. Never broke out. Mid-year, didn't really do anything. So even though this is DeFi, this is an oracle, I'm just apprehensive in the future. If this fails to move along with everything else to the degree that everything else did, it's hard to say, okay, let's get bullish on this again. Until it actually proves that it's done anything price-wise, you can't really get behind it. Now this is up, right, from 0 to 5 to 10, right? So it's up whatever thousands of percent that is. But from January to May, it was a 3x, which is great from a trading perspective, right? But everything else in DeFi kind of dwarfed that. So right now I'd be watching for a mean reversion to around 10. If it can hold this level volume-wise, 10 looks good as well. But trend-wise, it's definitely on the decline. Here is the daily cloud, which is looking like it wants to mean revert along with everything else to 10, 11, somewhere in there, a little under a 2x. I'm always more confident in this type of situation where there was this down spike, multi-month consolidation, September to January, right? You get your edge edge, you get your bullish continuation. So this to me is more of a slam dunk than hoping for mean reversion along with everything else. The good news is it's all going to be correlated. So if you're more confident in other stuff that's moved, then playing this trade is probably fine. It's like trading sushi because uni moved. That's probably fine because they're generally pretty highly correlated. So something else to watch would be Link because it's an oracle and you can watch those correlations as well. And if you want to try to front run that mean reversion, if you're not quite on board that this is going to be a complete mean reversion, you can watch it on the 8 hour. We can get a little more confidence when it breaks out above the cloud at around 7 and then can move up to these ledges on the cloud, which are at some point in time a 50% fib from top to bottom. You can see from 21 to 7, there was probably a 50% somewhere in here. So since May, it's been bearish, and if it can get above 7 in the near term, it's more likely that that mean reversion completes. If you look at the Band BTC pair, there was a great setup for this inverted head and shoulders. You can say maybe the volume wasn't there, but I thought it was legitimate. And it got squeezed between the 50 and the 200 on the daily. Got squeezed in this volume range and then just couldn't break out before everything else broke down. But I thought this setup was amazing. I didn't play it personally, but I was about to. Previously to that, it had a pretty gross looking head and shoulders that broke down. But again, these multi-month chart patterns are definitely, for me, setups worth trading. At this point in time, it's probably going to keep ranging until it's above this 30K sat level, because that's where all the volume was previously. So it tried to break out post-consolidation, didn't, and now it's just, for me, a leave alone, ignore for a long time until maybe trend metrics are on your side again. But it certainly doesn't look as bullish as it did in April and May. Lastly, on the Band ETH pair, I don't know if I've seen a worse chart lately. I'm trying to think of the one last week that was terrible. BNB ETH, I think, was the chart that was ready to break down and still is probably a great short. But this thing has never outperformed ETH since inception, since listing. It's early, right? It doesn't have a lot of chart history in general. And it's had multi-month bull divs that have gone nowhere. So I'm hesitant to call this one optimistic. But for me, again, these multi-month bull divs, multi-month chart patterns, this just says that's the selling relative to ETH is slowing down considerably. Momentum for down is slowing down considerably. And it's more favorable that this actually turns up. Now, does it turn up to the 200-day moving average? I don't know. That would be the previous consolidation range. But this is the type of setup to look for. If you're looking for trades against majors relative to altcoins, you just want absolute despair, absolute mega consolidation before taking a stab. I'd rather long this than just long any knife catch on the way down. Lastly, I'll just mention the ETH-BTC fund I trade for Techemy Capital on Enzyme.finance, as well as the DeFi portfolio. Band was in the DeFi portfolio at one point in time. Enzyme is a non-custodial portfolio management tool. You can send ETH or USDC or just watch what I'm doing. You can see AUM allocation performance. You can see all the tokens I'm in. You can see all the trades I'm making through Paraswap, through Aave, through Compound, through Wi-Fi, Yearn, through ZRX. You can see it all here. You can see what I'm doing if you're ever curious. As far as how the analysts' trading goes, it's all right here, public for you to see. Both of these funds are still at least 50% in Aave interest-bearing USDC. Part of this on the DeFi side of things was the other day I tried to buy some stuff, and the slippage was incredible for just a negligible amount. Under 30K, I was getting 2 to 3% slippage on stuff. So in hindsight, yeah, it would have been great to buy, right? But at the time, 3% slippage seemed a bit silly on that low of a bid for something. So anyway, that's all for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe. Happy trading.